Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to the Spoilers of the Damned podcast, and this is episode 10.
Hello.
Hello.
Hooray!
we have hello to the internet.
I'm done. See you guys later.
Yeah. We're just showing up for the 10th episode and then going home. But I will say, episode 10 comes after a sort of a mini hiatus, and I've gone back and listened to our episodes, which, I don't know, is probably a tiny bit like smelling your own farts. But
sometimes
at the same time,
farts smell good, though.
I've kind of... Do they?
Just a sweet.
Like a little spicy, you know? Kind of like...
Oh, Chris, save it for the episode 11 Q&A.
Do farts smell good? I got this one. I'll feel that.
Depends what I'm eating.
But I think I can genuinely say I've missed you guys. Even if no one was listening, and probably no one is listening, I would still show up for this because I enjoy talking to you. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, I would as well.
I've got the warm and fuzzies.
Fuzzies. So much warm.
I'm hugging the microphone right now. Do you feel that?
I can feel it.
Okay.
I feel you.
I feel them now. I feel more than I want to feel now.
Yeah, what's that? What's that feeling?
No. Stop it. Bad touch.
Okay, I'm going to get us on track. I'm going to start off with a quick sort of explanation because by the time this episode goes up, if you're looking at the podcast feed, you'll have seen a differently titled episode pop up, and that's because Twin Peaks Season 3 is starting, and seeing as 2/3 of us are ardent fans,
Yes.
well, actually I think 3 out of 3 of us are ardent fans, I think Chris just doesn't know it yet, it feels right we should be covering this monumental event. So,
Yes.
it is a long time coming for a lot of people, and as this podcast is recorded a bit ahead of release, we felt talking on here about episodes would be a bit redundant as we're behind the airing schedule.
Yes.
So, and also it's not fair to Chris as he does plan to watch Twin Peaks someday with his fiancée, and we think that's special and that deserves to happen, so we're not going to spoil it for him. So this way, doing the separate episodes, we can kind of pop off to chat about Twin Peaks there. And you know, if you're not into Twin Peaks, you can just completely ignore the episode and just enjoy the normal episodes fine. So or if you're putting season 3 off until it's finished, you can kind of watch an episode and then listen to us for an episode and do things like that. So otherwise, this cast should not be affected in any way and should be releasing during the usual time while Twin Peaks is on air. So
Gosh.
Cool.
that's that. How
So,
have you guys
in
been?
layman's
It has
terms,
been-
you're basically just doing a side episode of Twin Peaks that anyone can ignore, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be clearly signposted, and yeah, they'll just kind of be released as they go up, sort of based on the episodes that we just watched. I mean, episodes 1 and 2, for instance, are going to be screened as a single kind of episode on TV. They're kind of like a 2-hour movie. So the first episode will talk about 1 and 2, and then the next episode will talk about 3 and 4 because they're being aired as a second kind of like 2-hour movie. But then episodes 5, 6, 7, 8, I believe, are going to be on their own. So I think all in all we'll probably end up with about 7 or 8 episodes of the podcast that kind of like mini episodes, kind of like a bonus round that just talks about Twin Peaks, and then that way we can keep it completely out of this podcast that I just realised I've spent 5 minutes talking about Twin Peaks in.
But it's Twin Peaks, it's fine. It must be discussed.
I am very excited.
I'm crazy excited.
Yeah, I've been watching all of the promotional material on Facebook and even the red carpet stuff, which is literally just people turning up and going, yeah, I love being in Twin Peaks, yeah, David Lynch is great. And literally every person coming up and saying the exact same thing while wearing kind of like sparkly clothes and stuff. But, you know, I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I happened to catch it. And yeah, it's just been building my anticipation.
Yeah, I've managed to... I know that there was lots of new screenshots released of the new characters, and I wanted to see none of that because I don't want to see these new characters until I actually watch the show. I don't mind seeing screenshots of previous characters because I know who they are, and it's just nice to see them. But new characters, don't show me that shit until the show actually fucking airs.
Yeah, well, I think Showtime. I would kind of credit Showtime. They are promoting the hell out of this thing because it's, you know, they're the ones that signed it up, and fair enough. But they have been fairly tasteful, although it is everywhere. all that is everywhere is basically just like maybe a picture of Coop as he looks now, or maybe a picture of the sort of like the trees with some mist or something. Like literally not a lot is actually being shown off.
Yeah,
I've managed to avoid any kind of actual footage or trailers, so
that was
in that way.
On Sky. I mean, I don't have Sky, but I was at someone's place who has it a couple of months ago, and they had like some teaser stuff on Sky Atlantic, and it was just literally a shot of the trees, and just said it is happening again, and that was it.
Yeah, I think they realise that most people don't want to be spoiled, and I think they also realise that most people who are going to be watching this are fans of the original series, and they're already very familiar with it. They just want to kind of like enjoy it on the night. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fair. That sounds about right, really.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your interest has really been peaking.
Oh boy.
That one hurt. I'm not going to make it to 30.
It's been
not
a
worth
long
it.
time since the last cast, but I'm glad that Chris is still the king of segues.
Yeah.
Incidentally, how have you guys been?
Good. Very good, actually. Better
To
than I was
anything interesting or horrific?
before. Let's see. I watched the new Alien movie, which was horrific in all the wrong ways. I started playing Silent Hill 1 from the beginning again.
Oh.
Okay, our last episode, I don't know if you guys remember, we kind of did a bit that was basically Harry Mason's Crazy Day, based on the idea of him writing in those notebooks.
I don't remember that at all.
37. Dahlia Strange.
So how's it been going back to it?
It's good. It's still it's still very atmospheric. I just think the only problem I've got is that I was playing it on the PS2, so the emulation's a bit weird. So there's I don't know. It could be because my TV's it's like an HD ready TV and all that crap. But in between opening the map and then closing the map, it temporarily like the screen really flickers and the colour disappears. And sometimes when it comes back from the map screen, the image, the picture is actually a bit blurry, which is really bizarre. And then you just open the map and close it again, and then it goes back to being very pixelated and sharp again. I'm still really enjoying it. I was playing with my girlfriend, and we got up to the school, and then we just kind of stopped it there. We got the first amulet you have to get to open up the clock tower. So it's still I mean I still really like it. I still think the voice acting is really hilarious, but it does have that a really nice sense of unreality to it, which adds to the atmosphere. Yeah, I mean it's a PlayStation 1 game, so you kind of expect the graphics to be a bit naff, but they're not too bad. I think they hold up considering when it was made, and it wasn't exactly a massive high budget game either. I mean, they were so desperate to promote it. I remember that they packaged a demo disc of it in with Metal Gear Solid 1 when it was released over here. So
Yeah.
because before then I hadn't even heard of it.
As far as I'm aware, because I might be showing myself up here, but as a Silent Hill fan, the American version has got the kind of the children in the school, while the UK version doesn't. But that Metal Gear Solid demo disc for Silent Hill 1 has got the US monsters in it, as far as I'm aware.
Yep, that's absolutely correct.
That was my first experience with Silent Hill as well, was Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I think
Metal Gear Solid was big in basically year 7, year 8 when I was at secondary school.
Yeah,
and everyone went out and got MGS, so I got MGS and I played the Silent Hill demo and got scared shitless and never thought about Silent Hill again until Silent Hill 2.
Oh yeah, it scared the shit out of me, but I was like, I need to play this. This is great. This is like Resident Evil, but it's actually scary.
I thought Resident Evil was pretty fucking scary. I mean,
yeah, I think its stages. It's kind of like, you know how, I guess, like an energy drink wakes you up, and then I don't know, cocaine wakes you up even more.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's a sliding scale.
That's what I was going to say, because I remember last time we were talking about Return of the Living Dead. Matt said he watched that like when he was really young. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe Resident Evil 1 was my first interaction with zombies.
Yeah, it was
or
mine too.
yeah, and I had
Oh, I
nightmares from that first CGI for weeks. That one where the zombies eating a body, then it's like its head turns and looks at
God,
you.
me
Yeah,
too.
that's genuinely creepy.
It
Then.
looks
That's
right
it.
at you.
Yeah.
And I managed to get Resident Evil 1 off a kid at school, and I brought it home. I played up until that point, and the PS1 has got a reset button, so
Yeah.
the zombie looks at you, its eye like literally looked at me, and I was like, and I pressed the reset button.
Game over, man. Game over.
Game over.
Take that game.
Yeah. And then with Silent Hill, though, I didn't actually play that until 4. And so,
blimey.
yeah, I made a huge jump on Silent Hill. But it's because I liked Resident Evil 2 so much. So
It's a
much. Like,
great game too,
super,
Resident
super good. I got to the point where I was, like, knifing things as much as possible. I never did a knife-only run. I wasn't that good. I thought that was actually impossible. I thought that was, like, mythological or, like, a fake thing, just like the katana nudality bullshit that was, you're supposed to put, like, 100 button presses in, she shows her tits or whatever. Which didn't turn out to be true.
Yeah.
But, where was I? Oh yeah, Resident Evil 2. I got into that so much that I thought Silent Hill was an imposter. It was one of those games that just couldn't possibly be as good as Resident Evil. Everyone who plays Silent Hill is stupid. They just wasted their money. There's no reason for them to do it. Look at the graphics. That's dumb.
The backdrop's not even pre-rendered.
Yeah, what the hell? And then, Silent Hill 4, because like DDR was really my entrance into Silent Hill, which I know I've mentioned before, but it's so strange. I just don't mind mentioning it again because it's like a dance game brought me into the survival horror genre in the biggest way possible. That's because Silent Hill 3 had that "You're Not Here" song, and then Silent Hill 4 had the something rain, Your Rain, yeah, song, and they were both danceable, and I just kept asking questions about who the fuck these people were that were dancing in the background. You see Heather, you see, I think her name was Claudia? No, not Claudia, it was
Cynthia?
Cynthia, yeah, you see Cynthia, and I'm like, who are these people? And then I had like a Silent Hill 4 demo disc, I put it in, and I was like,
Why is this in a dancing game?
yeah, I'm so weirded out by this game. I don't know what's going on. And just to wrap it all up, eventually I went from 4 to 3 to 2 and then 1 because I wanted answers. There weren't ever any answers. And I was really cool with that because that's what led me into the UK Silent Hill Forum.uk forum thing. But in the end, I'm just kind of thinking like as many details as there were in Silent Hill and the lack of answers, it's sort of like there really isn't an excuse for there to be no answers, and I don't know if it's better without answers, and if it is better without answers, then why are there questions? And I'm just gonna stop there because that's just too much.
You've actually made me think of an interesting question to ask you because although I had experience with the Silent Hill 1 demo, but Silent Hill 2 was really where I kind of popped my Silent Hill cherry, and that to me is my favourite Silent Hill. So I just wondered, because you started with 4 and you went back through 3, 2, 1, what is your favourite Silent Hill, if you can pick one?
To play 2, but to experience 3.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean 2 is like 2 was the easiest to play because you always had enough ammo. So long as you took the time to open the safe, and solve the puzzles and do the elevator thing, then you'd have enough ammo to get through the game. 3 didn't have enough ammo, but that was sort of the point as well. And I really respect 3 for its design of fear of standing still. Like, as you get further in the game, like, the walls look like freshly ripped skin. You can't tell what a door is, what a door isn't. There's a monster there. You don't have any ammo. There isn't any ammo in the game. You have your pipe, but you know what? I'd rather run around it. And then you're like, where's the door? Constantly looking at the map. Shit. Where do I go? Every room is a fucking disaster. I don't know where I am. It's frightening to this day. And I also think Heather is a landmark in computer character design because she's the first character I've ever seen to look like a real person.
I know, I was going to say actually 3 and 4 especially are really incredible showcases of what you can actually do with the PS2.
Yeah.
In terms of graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't, in my memory, they look better than, things that may have come around the same time or even after them on PS2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, stuff like Downpour and Homecoming, I think some of the character models look better because there's more detail and more love put into them. Whereas in Homecoming Downpour, it just seemed like, it's just slap a texture on, you know, it got all more polys. Oh, look how fancy the graphics are. But let's not focus on the actual character models. So they'll have like this strange, like they've been asleep for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing about Heather too, is that it looks like she's never slept. She has those dark circles around her eyes, and I think that was like the most interesting feature of her character, because I think up until that point I haven't really seen a character with a flaw. You know, like you look at Chris and Jill from Resident Evil, you look at Claire and Leon from Resident Evil 2, like Jill from RE3 is wearing a tube top and a mini skirt, and it's just like perfect hair all the time, white, like a Dreamcast Soul Calibur. You know, any fighting game, all these character models are just like perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect face, whenever possible, or anime stylized. But Heather, she had freckles, she had like dark circles, her hair was a mess. It was like her roots were clearly showing, so she wasn't like dyeing her hair as often as she should. But that was also a character thing because of who she actually was. You know, I mean, all these things like added up to me, and I was like, man, like, and she even dressed like a teenager. You know, I've been part of another family where they were growing teenagers. I mean, like raising teenagers and growing them in the backyard. And yeah, they do have an odd fashion sense. They don't know what they're doing. And Heather was wearing like a thick white vest with a turtleneck. Her arms were exposed, and she wore a miniskirt and like knee-high boots. Like, where were you? Where were you going with this? You know, but it was perfect for her age. It was perfect for her age, and I thought that was just like really inspired character design. So,
yeah, I actually recently watched the Silent Hill 2 making of DVD again. I kind of while I was capturing footage for hopefully the launch of my channel in June. I had the disc there, so I thought I'm just going to give it a spin again. And some of the things they were talking about in the character design for Maria kind of speak to what you're saying as well. The fact that you can see her roots because she dyes her hair, the fact that there are kind of like sunspots and blemishes, and that she's got like she's showing her midriff, but she's got like a little bit of kind of like flab there.
Yeah,
sort of all of these things. I really like the fact that that's kind of a core. Maybe that's one of. I mean, there are many things missing from Homecoming and Downpour that make them kind of not really Silent Hill games in terms of the series. But I mean, I think one of those core aspects is that they kind of do put so much level of kind of like human characteristics into the characters, so that they're not these kind of like perfect kind of facsimiles of real life. They're actual kind of real people, or much more believable.
Yeah, ordinary people in extraordinary situations. That's like one of the best things about Silent Hill. And like with the Resident Evil series, they try to pull that off, but it's just more stylized and actiony, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's still fun.
Oh yeah, no, it's just a different flavor. That's fun too.
Kind of horror. It's more fast-paced, in your face, whereas opposed to Silent Hill is more slower pace that sticks with you.
Yeah, you're supposed to identify with who you're playing as. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, we got way off topic.
Can't identify with Chris Redfield. I mean, Jesus Christ.
You know what though? Like I think Chris Redfield was a perfect rendition of himself from 5 and 6 and then the other stuff. Because I mean, yeah, he went through some serious shit in 1. He went through some serious shit in Code Veronica. He realizes this stuff is getting out of hand. Wesker is super fast, super strong. Why not beef up? Why not go pro football style body? You know, just you got to save the world. You're leading the BSAA. You have to be the icon, the avatar of the BSAA. You got to punch rocks. Okay, now that I have to scale it back on punching rocks.
That rock had it coming.
Yeah, I mean, punching rocks is a little out of the ordinary for any human being, even of that level. Yeah, but still.
I mean, that was the moment I remember almost like nearly pausing the game to put the controller down.
It's just
this. They may have lost focus.
Playing, the colours turn to grey, and you just walk outside. Like there's a carry bag floating in the wind.
Yeah, it's like this series may have lost focus.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 was goofy, but Jesus Christ.
Like instead of punching the boulder, why not push it?
It's like, this is gonna work.
Because that's too easy, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris Redfield, that's why.
Like get a stick and like lever the thing, you know? It's a rock. It's almost a perfectly spherical natural formation for some reason. Might as well just like give it a push. That's all you need to do.
I mean, could you imagine him having to write up his report if Sheva died? So Agent Redfield, you know what happened? Oh, basically, well, the reason I couldn't get to Agent Alomar Olimar, whatever the name is because there was a boulder in the way, and I had to try and get out of the way. Like, oh, well, so you couldn't lever it or push it. Oh no, I was trying to punch it because I've got these, and I just thought it'd be the right thing to do. It was the quickest. You're fired. Get out. Oh, sorry.
I'm
the
sorry.
Corporation.
Yeah, that's why he's in that bar eating that steak and drinking in the RE6. He got fired. He's just not letting go, and his friends went with him, so they're still following him because he's like the Captain America of the group, and they just won't let go. Yeah, it's true.
He's actually terrible.
Yeah.
You suck, Chris.
So, and on that note, I mean, RE7's Chris Redfield Not a Hero DLC has not yet released, and as far as I know, there's no...
It's been postponed.
Postponed?
Yeah, I saw a video where basically, like, I'm not trying to be racist, but it's a very Japanese thing to do, to come on a video and apologize and do a lot of bowing, but that's what they did. They kind of come on and said, "We're very sorry, it's not finished yet," and then bowed some more.
That explains everything.
Please look forward to it.
They said apparently the idea was that I think they envisioned something a lot smaller in scope than people have come to expect, and something along the lines of they thought it was going to be a smaller thing, but now people are expecting something bigger, so they have to put more time and effort into it. So
yeah.
I'd rather it didn't come out until it was good.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
if it
I think they
could fill some
underestimated maybe
plot
how
holes, that'd be
successful
nice.
It would be.
Like if it could fill some plot holes, that'd be really nice too. Like what happened with Maria and not Maria. Is her name? No, her name is Mia. Sorry. What happened with Mia and Ethan to the point where Mia is who's she working for? And Ethan, like, why wasn't he turned into a monster? He never took any of the serum stuff, and like, what is going on with what they've got? I mean, they have a really great engine, graphics engine, game engine, but it's like the writing just went crazy after about the first couple hours, and. Yeah, they have a lot of makeup to do if they're going to do anything at all. If they're just going to leave it as it is, it'd be fine, I guess, but we'd all be like a little bit wary about the next Resident Evil at that point, I would think. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, if this is the final kind of thing before Resident Evil 8, whatever it appears to be, emerges, I'm sure it will get made at some point, then, you're right, they need to kind of leave off in a kind of a very positive way that's going to make people hungry for Resident Evil 8 as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right now I'm sick of it. Like, I haven't finished my RE7 LP, and I'm not sure if I ever will at this point, because I don't know, it's just, I don't have anything for it. I'm just done. I'm done playing that game.
I think we kind of, we got kind of like burnt out on it.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think it's the way the game's structured probably doesn't help.
Yeah, like,
I like
modern
gaming industry.
I like the ship section, but like getting out of the house, sort of like I'm done playing the game after I get out of the house. I really don't want to play through the ship section. I don't like Evelyn. I don't like the fact that she's like the supervillain character who's never anywhere where she's supposed to be, because she can like project illusions onto people and like can kill people from a distance, but doesn't when it's convenient, when it should work out.
As they can get, basically.
I really hate that. I really do. It's like, why don't you just why just kill them now?
Yeah, kill them now or something.
It reminds me of when Spoonie was still actually doing reviews and not sitting on his fat ass getting Patreon money.
I haven't watched him in years.
It's because he hasn't produced the content. He did his series of Ultima reviews were really good, and he got to the final one, which I think was Ultima 9, which does like a steaming pile of shit. And the main villain in that, you're like fighting against him and you're trying to stop him and that. And there's one scene where it shows him just killing a guy with like a thought. It's like, why you just kill the main character then? Just fucking kill him now. Why is this a problem? Why do you not just kill everyone that you know is a threat? This is stupid.
Yeah.
It seems to me it's an issue of plot contrivance, and I'm sure when we do get onto Alien Covenant, I think that will be a recurring theme.
Yes.
Yeah. Just before you guys do that, though, what he was talking about with the killing things with your mind thing, just reminded me of a conversation I had at work where a coworker of mine was talking about the new Thundercats cartoon that came out a while back, and how Mumra, who's the villain, he wants to destroy the Sword of Omens or collect the Sword of Omens or something like that. But the problem was that he has a weapon that's really powerful, and to make that weapon, he had to destroy a galaxy, right?
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
he had to destroy a galaxy to make this weapon, and he made it, and it was successful. But the Sword of Omens is always getting in his way. He's got to destroy that weapon too. But it's like, if you can already destroy a galaxy, haven't you already won?
Yeah. But I must destroy more, so they have a stronger weapon.
Yeah.
Somehow destroyed a galaxy without the super weapon.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, maybe he got his facts wrong, and anyone's welcome to get into the comment box and tell me I'm wrong, but or at least embellish or whatever. But if that was like the core idea, then that writing is like way out there, and that's sort of been a problem with a lot of things that have been written recently. It's like, it feels like we don't care anymore. We're just gonna say these things. It's gonna set up something, and people will like it or they won't, and we'll move on to the next thing. You know?
Yeah, we need these things to happen, so we'll make them happen.
Yeah.
And there won't actually be a way to justify or make a story reason for them.
Right.
And it won't make any sense.
Right, and also like in the most recent Voltron cartoon, I watched a little bit of it because he was telling me about this stuff too. How the bad guy was able to single-handedly defeat one of the lions. I think the red lion by himself in space. Like, he's a guy though.
What?
Yeah. Like, I watched it, and it's like, yeah, the red lion shows up and he gets defeated in space by a man.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have to make your villain seem like super powerful and super strong or whatever, but wow.
But there's a fine line. It reminds me of Heroes, which was huge when it first came out. And
It started off really well.
Yeah.
I did like it in the beginning.
First season's still good, but there's one thing that you always have to be careful with in any kind of form of fiction, be it games, films, TV, books, whatever. When you make a villain too powerful to the point where no one can ever stand up to him, he stops becoming an interesting villain.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing with Sylar was he wanted Claire's regeneration power, because then he's like, oh, I'll be immortal. But you knew that even if he got it, he could still cut his head off, and that would kill him, because they can't regenerate all that shit. Sever the head, you can still kill him. That's fine. And then it kept going, and then he got more powers, more powerful. His opposite, Peter Petrelli, and the whole thing in the first seasons that Peter's his opposite. He's the good. He obtains powers through empathy, whereas Sylar literally steals powers from people by killing them. He's like, that's good. Then they depower Peter, so he's not on the same level as Sylar anymore. So there's no one on the same level as Sylar. And I remember one episode where he gets a new ability where he can change his molecular structure or something. So he moves his death button essentially, so you can't kill him. So instantly there's a supervillain that no one can beat because he's the best, because he got popular. And it's boring because everyone's like, oh, someone's going to fight, oh, they're dead. And it's like, oh, yes, there's one.
Yeah, where's the conflict or hardship there at all?
There's no drama. It's like, oh, he's here, oh, he's going to kill everyone. That's why it's the way it works in superhero movies. When you've got a really strong villain, a really cool villain, you have a really good opposite for him.
Mm.
Or even in one of my favourite things was in Doctor Strange was the way that he defeats Dormammu. Something like that. Just make it interesting.
He's the best. He's so strong. Now we can kill him.
And then you're left with thinking up things like, well, I guess there's this material that glows green that apparently turns his powers back into normal powers whenever it's around him, so we'll just build everything out of that.
Oh god, there's kryptonite, which is really rare, but everyone has it.
Yeah.
And there's red kryptonite, blue kryptonite.
Apparently you can just order some off Amazon and just, do what you want with it.
It reminds me of
Villain Amazon.
This is going to sound silly, but it reminds me of maths. Where you kind of you have fractions and you kind of cancel out stuff on either side of an equation. It's like if there is 4x on this side of the equation, there's 4x on that side, you can kind of cross them out because they cancel each other out. It's like if you build your character up to have these amazing powers, and then the only way to make a story is you've got to bring all those powers back down, then don't bother with the amazing powers in the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's just it's escalation and then de-escalation.
De-escalation?
De-escalation. Yeah. Oh, it sounds better than descalation. That just sounds like something to do with desks.
Descalation.
Yeah.
That sounds like very happy desks.
Yeah, like
guys,
sorry.
we've got major. Well, you go ahead, Chris. Once I finish, but once you finish saying what you're going to say, we have to get back on topic because we are still on Matt's sum up of what we've done while we've been away.
It's been a while.
We've still got yours and mine to go before we even get into topics.
Yeah. Well, okay. Anyway, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, which should be pretty easy. But Final Fantasy XIV MMO has a great storyline, well-written storyline. It's really interesting. I'll just say that the first, like, the classic story of the game had ended on like such a like Game of Thrones Red Wedding level hype moment. Like, oh my god, so much has changed, right? And then when Heavensward came out, the next expansion, which I pre-ordered immediately because I was like, I've got to know what happens. I'm gonna get in on this shit as soon as possible. They do this fun thing where they kind of just soft landing all of the hype, so no one actually dies, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was the moment with like what we're talking about here with like the heroes and the villains and like all these like bad writing moments when I realized that anime is terrible. Because this is a feature of anime in almost everything I've ever seen where like Dragon Ball, for example, somebody dies but then somebody wishes them back with a Dragon Ball. You know, that kind of thing. And I'm just like,
what that reminds me of is Final Fantasy VIII. The end of disc 1 where Squall gets like an ice blast through the heart.
Yeah,
and you're like,
impaled.
oh shit, Squall's dead. And then the next thing he's just up on a wall and he's fine.
Yeah.
Which is why I like that theory about Final Fantasy VIII where Squall dies at the end of disc 1 and the rest is like just a stupid dream.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Like a death dream.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, especially after coming after Final Fantasy VII where, yeah, I know you have Phoenix Downs and everything else, but like, you know, spoilers, Eris dies.
Whoa, sorry.
Spoiler. I was just playing that.
I was just going to get round to that.
Oh my god, the remake comes out soon.
Oh god, don't even get me. Like, the remake is like the best and worst idea of all time.
Yeah, it really is.
At the same time.
I'm a fan. I'm a Final Fantasy fan. I just can't understand how they're going to translate memories into a new game, because that's all you really remember about FF7 is how you experienced it, how you played it, who you were when you were playing it, like all that stuff back in the past. If you play it right now, like if you've never played FF7 before and you're just like, oh, I was going to play this as my first Final Fantasy, and you sat down in 2017 and you played FF7, you'd be like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
What's with his fucking hair?
Yeah, why is his hair completely spiky? Did that guy just get hit by a train at the end of the boss fight? What? Why are there so many sweaty dudes doing squat thrusts in this fucking gym? That's all they do in this gym is squat thrust. You know?
Why is there a giant plate falling on everyone? Yeah,
that's really bad. Shouldn't someone have said, we shouldn't kill hundreds of thousands of people just to kill 7? I mean, is it 7? It doesn't matter. It's a number. Is that lion talking? Who is this one-winged person, and how is he able to fly? This doesn't make any sense.
He's phasing through the wall.
Right, and even before the One Ring, he's just like flying through the library in that one scene where he's discovering his past. Does anyone realize that the word Sephiroth is a bad thing? This guy's name is Sephiroth? I mean, oh my god, just piles of just like tropey nonsense from Japan in anime form with a story that doesn't make any sense until like after the spin-offs of like the previous games and the Advent Children and all that sort of stuff in that same universe kind of tried to mush it all together into something that made some sort of sense. But if you played FF7 just like right now, that whole dream sequence where Cloud's got Mako sickness or whatever makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And it's going to be episodic as well.
Rage.
Like, I didn't realize I had that in me, but I am actually frustrated with FF7.
Well, there's rumours now they're going to do 8 as well. They're going to remake 8 because, you know...
Really?
They clearly ran out of ideas by the end of Final Fantasy 15 because they just absolutely streamlined the final, like, 5 hours of the game. It's like, oh, this is going somewhere, and it's over. Like,
I keep hearing that, and that apparently they're going to rectify it somehow in DLC or something.
The chapter in question is really painful to play through. It's a really uninteresting stealth section.
I will probably save it until whatever year the Game of the Year edition comes out with all the fixes and everything else.
Yeah, it's just the weird thing is like too much stuff happens off camera as well. Like you'll go somewhere, it's like all these characters are dead. What? They kill off, like, there's no spoil, like, it's not because I'm going to say who, but there's one antagonist that you meet once, and you think, oh, you're going to fight this person, they're going to be like a really cool boss fight, and then you just see his dead body.
Amazing.
And you're like, oh. And then you get like text or something, I can't remember what it was, like, that basically tries to say, like, oh, this person was actually not a bad person all along. Like, oh, I don't care, I don't know who I barely know this person, I've met them once, they've been mentioned twice maybe. Yeah, it's a weird game. It starts off really well, and then it just plot happens, and then I get upset.
The sentence "plot happens" should not be a bad thing.
Yeah,
like, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't actually make any sense.
You know what though? Like FF7 being remade, FF8 possibly being remade. I've seen that rumor around, and I don't believe it yet because Facebook will say anything to get you to press that share button. It just reminds me. It just reminds me a lot of The Dead Rising.
Excellent. If only we were at the point in the show where we would be talking about Dead Rising.
I think we should be at this point. It's been a half hour.
What? We've only been talking for 4 hours.
I figured that basically,
I'm
if you're
off work
listening
tomorrow.
to this, it's probably been cut into two, so I'm probably going to make it a two-parter. So
Yeah.
So we're gonna have what we've been doing, and then the next episode will be about the actual subject.
the actual thing you turn up for.
Yeah. Time constraints.
boy.
I'm willing to sacrifice my what I've done for progress. So
Well, I am not, and I've
Well,
got a bullet point list.
go on then. Take it.
Well, Matt's got to finish his first.
Oh, shit, have I? Oh, I don't. Where am I? I don't know what.
You were
what
playing
year is
Silent
this?
Hill classic.
Oh yeah.
Shit, that's where
Remember
we're
that?
Footnotes. Stuff. Silent Hill 1. Good thing. Started rewatching Twin Peaks with my girlfriend because she hasn't seen it before in preparation for the new series. Also good thing. Played and finished the final Dark Souls DLC, which was fantastic. And when you look into the actual story behind the DLC, because I always play Dark Souls games and have to root around for the story afterwards. It's just like inevitable.
Yeah.
And the ending, the final boss is just so perfect because it just sums up the series wonderfully. All the gods are dead, the demons are gone, all these things are over, and it's just two cursed knights essentially fighting at the end. It's brilliant. So did that, it was great. And then I saw Mindhorn again, which was great because it's really funny, but it's not scary. It was good. Saw Guardians 2,
I enjoyed
which
it.
was saw Guardians 2, which was really good. Because I'm a sucker for Kurt Russell. And instantly watched The Thing with my girlfriend because she'd never seen it before, and it means I got to watch The Thing again and see Kurt Russell and his amazing mane of hair and his beard. And then we made the terrible mistake of deciding to go and see Alien Covenant together, which was equally. It was both our first Alien film at the cinema because Prometheus doesn't really count, and we stayed about 10-15 minutes after the credits finished because we were so angry. We were just talking about it. And it was so nonsensical and stupid and absolutely pompous and pretentious. And I hated it. So
Yes,
that
we will get
was
onto that.
that's what I've been up to.
Tom?
Chris, you really should very briefly touch on what you've been doing this week. can.
I can say thing. Oh yeah, The House Abandoned. The House Abandoned. Has anyone of you heard of that? I doubt it.
No.
That's not me
No?
being elitist. It's just a statistic.
Oh, you possibly wouldn't have heard of it. I'm
House
sorry.
Abandoned.
Yeah, yeah, The House Abandoned. I was watching super great friend go through this. He had a 3-week break where he was just putting up one-shots of really short games, but it was really interesting, and it's basically a 20-minute sort of text adventure in the modern day, built with the 1980s aesthetics, but it's done in a way where you're like sitting in a room with high-res textures, not pre-rendered, sorry, but like 3D models and that kind of stuff, so you can see like the modern graphical times today, but you're playing a computer that's like an old Tandy or an old Commodore or something like that.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm looking at the picture. That looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Sounds like
good.
Spectrum.
It's really good, but I mean, soak it in because that's all you see. And I watched him go through that, and it was actually very frightening at the plot twist and stuff. And I don't know, maybe it's because I played a Commodore 64 in the middle of the night. I know that clack, 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 and that sounds of the heavy keys and like the sounds of the disk drive going, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it really struck me, and it was really, really good. I'm not going to talk too much about the story, but it's basically you playing an adventure game in an office inside a house that gets invaded. I'll just say that.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
so you're playing the game while your house is being invaded. I'll just leave it there. But it's definitely worth the 20 minutes it takes to watch somebody play it or play it yourself.
It sounds intriguing.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's really cool. I enjoyed watching it. I actually kind of want to play it because there's some things he didn't go through that my text adventure, like age-old text adventure instincts are like, ooh, what, he didn't go into that door. I need to find out how to get a key to that door, So it reminded me a lot of, well, not the story, but it reminded me of the activity of actually playing a game called Wishstone a long time ago.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Besides that, though, I played a bit of Dead Rising. That was a weak one.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. And I just played a lot of real-time strategy games. I just played StarCraft 2. I'm playing through Warcraft 3 again. I'm playing Heroes of the Storm, which is kind of a real-time strategy game, but it's really you just play the one hero. It's a MOBA, if you guys know what that is. Multi-online battle arena kind of thing.
Yeah, I know it's a thing.
Yeah. You know it's a thing. That's
I
not
know it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing that's
that the
apparently
kids play.
huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've never really dipped my toes into.
Well, I haven't either. The reason I did it, and it's over now, so it's not like you can't go there and take advantage of this promotion. But they have like 64 total hero characters you can play as, and there was a promotion that if you went in and played through a certain period of time, they'll give you 20 of them, which is nice since the game is basically you pay for the heroes, and they had 4 different bundles, so you can like have the tank bundle, the support bundle, the assassin bundle, or the flex bundle, which has a little of everything. And I was coerced to play it, and I hate MOBAs. I hate the idea of MOBAs. I wasn't going to play it, but I mean, hey, free stuff. So I got in there, and you can play as the characters from the Blizzard universe, even as the Lost Vikings, which is pretty cool. I wish they had Blackthorn in there. Or
Blackthorn.
Yeah, or any of the cars from Rock and Roll Racing. That would be awesome. But for the uninitiated, a MOBA is a multi-online battle arena, and it's the closest you can get to where, when you were kids, having action figures and banging them together. But it's fun because there's actually there's actually units and there's actual abilities and objectives. So it's like a really fast living board game scenario where you control your person against 5 other people controlling their persons, and you have 4 people working with you. And in the end, I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I kind of recommend it, but only if you don't have anything else better to play. If you want something new, something competitive. I mean, because like the different heroes are interesting. Like you can actually play as the siege tank from StarCraft, so you can like roll around and go to siege mode and just bombard the enemy. And if you can put yourself in the right spots, you can surprise them and ambush them. You can lay spider mines down, so if they chase after you, they have to deal with those. You get a boost, so your siege tank can move fast temporarily every 30 seconds. So you can kind of play the run and gun game, but you're in a tank. So that's fun. Or you can play as Arthas from the Lich King, the whole Warcraft thing. You can play as any of the StarCraft heroes, like Kerrigan, James Raynor, Tychus, with a huge minigun. It's pretty cool. I could go on, but yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I wouldn't say last week. I'd be saying over the last series of weeks, because it's just been a lot of fun. I kept going back to it. So, there you go.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's because I know people can play MOBAs basically full time, like as their actual job. So it's always kind of struck me as something that is fun, but might have some kind of grind to it. Did you find that it was just kind of it was fun from the get-go, or there is kind of like a grind?
I will say that having the 20 characters being granted to me free removed a lot of the grind.
Okay,
And
that makes sense.
they do a really cool thing where as you level up your account, and you just do that by playing the game, they'll give you another slot of weekly rotated free characters to play. So, as it is, I think there's like 4 characters you can choose to play as every week that just shifts around the character select. And as you level up, you can get 5 slots or 6 slots on top of the 20 that I already have. I really am not at all needing to buy a character. There's always someone I could play and just save my money.
Cool.
So, in a way, it's interesting because like I don't want to give them any money at all for their game that they let me play for free. That's really well done. It's like they just shot themselves in the foot.
And unless it's a really, really amazing game.
Yeah.
If they offer me a free game, especially on my phone, I make it my mission to not pay any money at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it gets to the point where you're doing a Super Mario run and decide that after 4 levels, yep, you have to pay $7.99, I'm like, yep, peace out, delete the download.
Cool. That's it.
Yeah, that was free. It was a fun game.
Yeah.
I had fun with 4 levels.
Yeah. They also do give you currency for winning or just playing the game. So, and as you level up and all that kind of stuff, so you can actually use the currency to buy the heroes. There's nothing in the game that you need to pay real money for.
Cool.
So
it just speeds up the process. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah, and Blizzard seems to be nailing that. Like, I also play Hearthstone, and whenever you win, you get gold, and you spend the gold on new card packs. It plays like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or other TCGs that you might know. And I admit though that I do pay like $10 a week for like the last 3 weeks on cards because like a card pack is $3, so I just like I'll buy 3 of them, and then boom, new cards.
It's cheap. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to confess, I've put a couple of. I've bought a couple of things in Pokemon Go, which incidentally I don't play anymore. But back when I was playing it, the joy that I got from however many like microtransactions it was, like like a couple of pounds, I got a couple of pounds worth of play out of it. I was playing it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
play
that's
anymore,
how I do it
but-
too.
So if you do get enough out of it that you're putting into it, then fair enough. Some of these things where it's random chance, I have to sort of question exactly how what the word is, just ethical that is, as opposed to, I mean, if you get enough out of it from the joy of having random stuff. I mean, I bought stickers as a kid. You'd get random stickers, and you'd have to trade and go like, oh, have you got
Yeah.
I was never into football, but football stickers is a big thing over here. I think it still is, even in 2017.
Yeah,
But,
I still see them sold.
Yeah,
In a
exactly.
lot of places.
And I did have a couple just because it was the done thing at primary school. Everyone had it, and you would trade them. But
Swapsies.
when I was a kid, the first one I got was the Power Rangers movie one. So you remember the Power Rangers movie with Ivan Ooze. So I collected that and I completed it because I had to send off for a couple. Like basically you get to the point where you've got 2 left, and your mum sits you down and you can write a letter and go, please sir, can I have the 2 I need to complete it? And then you send it off to the company and they send you them back.
Wow.
And and the Pokemon sticker album as well, the first one that came out in this country. I was in secondary school and it was still a big deal. By the end of secondary school, everyone's going, oh, Pokemon, it's so sad. But like, year 7, year 8, it was hot stuff.
Yeah. I remember when it came out, it was huge. Huge when it came out.
So I guess I should probably get on to what I've been doing this quote unquote week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quote unquote.
Okay. Right. Well, the first thing, and I think it will probably be featured on the podcast at some point, I played and completed Little Nightmares.
Yes.
You guys know Little Nightmares, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I have the collector's edition still wrapped in plastic on top of my dresser.
Nice.
I forgot it. I was like, I've got so much else to play. I forgot I had like Persona 5 that I need to get through. Tales of Berseria. Injustice 2 came out. I'm like, I need more time.
Yeah. Before
I
you
wanna
continue, Tom, I just want to say something real quick because we're on that subject. Very recently, I put up on Facebook. Very recently, I've made an epiphany. I had a bit of inspiration on like video game collecting, and it is to not collect them anymore. The idea is like, I mean, if you like Persona, I'm sure you like Persona. You bought Persona 5, and you plan on playing it, then by all means buy it and play it. But I've decided to stop playing games because I'm supposed to, and instead play games that I want to. Because
it's a good way to be. Yeah,
because you were talking about time. We only have 24 hours in a day. A lot of us have full-time jobs now. I don't actually have the time that I'm willing to spend playing like a long JRPG, like Star Ocean Till the End of Time is coming out on PS4 again. And yeah, I liked playing it on the PS2, though I didn't get very far. It's a long fucking game. But I can just squelch that need to want to play that game, because I know that if I do, it'll be like next year or the year after until I finally finished it. Will that have been worth it? So I just sort of dampen that. And I think that it's sort of a lesson for everyone to sort of like at least consider in their life.
Yeah. I had it on the 360 where, because far and away our biggest game collection is PS2, but the next one is 360, because we had a PS3 sort of like almost concurrently with the 360, but we didn't have as many. We basically bought exclusives on the PS3, and we bought everything else on the Xbox. So we've got loads of 360 games, and I was picking up games sort of like the RPGs, especially like you say, because they're such a time sink. Infinite Undiscovery. What was the other one that was kind of like more strategy based?
No. Last Revenant.
Yeah, that's it. Last Revenant. Yeah. Like all of these RPGs were coming out, so I would buy them and go, okay, I'm going to play it later. 5 years, 6 years, 10 years later, I still haven't played them. So I kind of reached the point, and especially because, no offense to these guys, but half the games, like, I don't know. I played Tales of Vesperia once, and there must have been 40 Tales games since then. Like literally hundreds of them coming out with like weird symbols. They've got kind of like Kingdom Hearts disease, where they go, oh yeah, it's Tales of Ancient Seas F, or like Gamma symbol or something.
Yeah,
and it's like I haven't got time to play the latest anime like RPG just because I haven't got time. So yeah, I definitely think it's a kind of, I think it's a realization most people come to when they realize you can't put the time in like you used to.
No.
And yeah, nothing says that more than Dead Rising 1 as well, which like we'll get into later. But the time I put into that the first time round, I had a lot more patience for it than I did this time round.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I get it.
But let me get through this.
Yes,
so,
go ahead.
I played Little Nightmares. It's kind of like Inside Limbo. Overall I liked it. It was good. It has a great art style. It's inspired quite a lot in the later levels by Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away, which I didn't know. I wasn't expecting. I'd seen the first kind of couple of levels, and they were kind of more Tim Burton, kind of like Victoriana-esque.
Yeah, that's what I got from it. It looks very dark and
you've got the nasty monsters that kind of look like. I saw someone describe it as basically someone took those old newspaper cartoons like in the 1920s, the ones drawn in like pencil or pen with like kind of weird ghastly faces and stuff. It's basically the game. But yeah, the last few levels took a lot from Spirited Away. Actually, it was like almost rip-off territory, but
that's bizarre.
Yeah, and with a game like that, because the plot is not overly laid out for you, you are looking to everything around you to work out what's going on, and the situation kind of becomes, without spoiling it, it's kind of a bit like Spirited Away. I got a sense that was kind of what the plot was trying to tell us. But the ending for me was a bit too ambiguous. There was not a lot of resolution at all. It was the open-enders of open-ended. I'm still not exactly sure what happened, so it's one of those things where it's an experience and it's enjoyable and it's good, but you are left, you very much left wanting by the end of it, sort of as to some kind of resolution. Yeah,
it's not very satisfying then.
Yeah, there is a driving force to get through it, much like with Inside and Limbo. There's kind of a driving force to get to the end, to get some sense as to, or get some answers as to what is going on, and there are none. There are less than Limbo. Let me put it that way.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, exactly. And we spent an hour and a half talking about Limbo and how the plot might have been considered and what have you, and we will probably do Little Nightmares in a similar way. It's a good game. I enjoyed it, but it's not an 8 out of 10. It's a 7 or a 6 because of the ending for me. That's just the way I feel.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a catchphrase now for me to be screaming at the TV, what does it mean? But
reveal your secrets.
Yeah.
Reveal your secrets.
The answer is no one knows. I don't even think they know. I think they just made something because it was cool, with no kind of... if you're a story maker, if you craft something, then you it's not enough to just have a cool idea. There's got to... the phrase, you've got to stick the landing. Something has to kind of pay off or feel like the investment of time was worth it. And Little Nightmares has got such an arresting visual style that you feel very involved in it, and you feel that driving force to get to the landing, and it just isn't there. So that's how I feel about it. But aside from that, I replayed Life is Strange. Season 2 has been confirmed. It's kind of weird the way the universe works. I very recently finished this playthrough again because hopefully it's going to appear in video content on Dark Gazing channel in June. But that game, Life is Strange, it's one of my top 10 games of all time, and replaying it just solidified that for me. Have you guys either of you guys played it?
I haven't.
Okay. No.
Well, it is another one of those kind of episodic, essentially kind of like a visual novel kind of thing. There are some nifty puzzles. There are some puzzles, definitely. It's got more puzzles than the second or third season of the Telltale Walking Dead game, for definite. But it is...
They phone it in now.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to say it's a full-on game, like as in terms of like having an engine or gameplay loop or all of those other things that people talk about. It's more about characters, story, telling. It's definitely, speaking of Little Nightmares, it's a beautiful example of how you do stick to the landing. And I don't know, in a way that, even though I love the Telltale Walking Dead games, in a way, Life is Strange handles the fact that your choices don't actually mean that much better than Telltale Walking Dead does. In that game, someone dies and you feel bad, but then you go on YouTube and you take a look at the other consequence and you go, oh well, there wasn't much of a difference, it didn't really matter that much.
Yeah, that's how I felt about that actually with not to trouble, it reminds me of it's very early in season 1 where you're under attack from walkers in the convenience store.
Yeah.
And I don't mind having to make decisions that will result in the death of a character in a video game. What I don't like, and I've never liked it, is when one of them's got to die, you've got to choose which one. Like, it's a bit too contrived, and in particular, I remember it briefly took me out of the game a bit, but I pushed through to the end. But in the convenience store, there's 2 characters under attack by walkers. There's a female character who has a gun, and I think the one's just grabbing hold of her leg. Yeah. Right, okay, and then you look at the next one. The guy is by the window, and there's like at least 4 or 5 hands grabbing hold of him, trying to pull him through.
I know the exact situation you're talking about, and I agree.
I look at her, and I'm like, you have a gun, and it's just got hold of your leg. If you run out of bullets, kick it in the skull. He is going to get pulled through a window and torn to shreds. So I pick him, and of course she dies. And like you said, you look it up online, and you go, oh, and what's different? Oh, you speak to that character once, and then they fuck off.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there in that the main problem is that you are not being shown the consequences of your actions. You are being shown an arbitrary choice that doesn't really have an awful lot of ramifications in terms of the plot. Now, I mean, I will say, without spoiling the game, Life is Strange only has 2 endings, and the choice between those endings is at the end of the game. Okay? So there are a lot of things that you can do in terms of changing things for people and making choices that have changes, but none of those affect the ending. Or well, pretty much, without spoiling it, there is a way you can affect one of the endings to kind of embellish on it, but it doesn't actually take anything away, it only adds stuff. So in that regard, you feel like it was a tailored experience where you made choices, and it's not at the end of the game, it's not kind of like, oh, that person died or didn't die. It doesn't matter. It's just the fact that you kind of went through it and you made these choices, and that's the point.
Yeah,
In The Walking Dead, it's only what's the phrase? It's a checksum game, or basically, it's basically at the end you kind of go, oh, you didn't save that person, that means you don't get, an item here, or you don't go to that location.
Yeah.
Life is Strange has that, but you are far less aware of it, and you don't feel. Well, maybe it's because of this mechanic. There is a mechanic where it's not much of a spoiler to say Life is Strange, you're given the mechanic to rewind time, okay? You can't rewind time in terms of like going back like years and years and years. It's more a case of you can rewind, say, the last 2 minutes. So you can talk to someone and there'll be a choice, and it appears an arbitrary choice between, for instance, tell them about something that happened or don't tell them about something that happened. Now, you can tell them about something that happened, and if you watch the immediate consequences of that choice, you can kind of sit there and go, actually, that looks like it's going to turn out pretty badly for me. You rewind, and you can see what the other option would have been, and so rather than have to go on YouTube and see, oh yeah, that changes that cutscene arbitrarily, you can actually see the differences. And the cool thing about Life is Strange is that you still have that effect of your choices carrying over, because once you make a choice and stick with it and leave that area, you then can't go back and change it. So you're left with the long-term consequences, but in the short term, you can see the outcomes of your choices. So I think it's kind of it's just a much better way of handling things. You get to see multiple ways of things turning out, and then picking the one that you prefer, rather than just being thrown something, like you said, in heat of the moment, where you make a choice based on your internal logic, but your logic doesn't fit the game's logic. Yeah. Anyway, shit, we're like an hour in and we're still not on the thing. So I
Welcome to the Tangent Hour.
I played Prey. That's quite good. I haven't finished it, mainly because the reasons you guys discussed. There is not enough time in the day to play all these games.
Not enough.
There's something about the controls that feels slightly off. I don't know if it's that it's too slippery, or maybe it might be the opposite. It might be just a bit too clunky. But in terms of style, presentation, everything, I like it. It's got a Bioshock vibe, although I've been told by people who played System Shock it's much closer to a System Shock vibe than a Bioshock vibe. But System Shock 2's on my list, and God knows when I'm going to get to that. But overall, yeah, it's an enjoyable game. I'm not sure if it's worth full price, but it's definitely interesting. I like the setting and the themes. It's just I feel the controls are just a little bit off. Another thing I did while I was away, I have to put my shout in because the guy gave us a shout out. Basically, I follow a Dream Theater podcast, the band Dream Theater. This guy does a podcast, sort of a fanzine about the band, and kind of does episodes. I got into them and I was actually asked to go on a show. So I went on their show. I think I'm on episode 35. And the guy who makes it, Thelma, he's a great guy. And hopefully, if you're listening to this and you came from that podcast, please do let me know, because that would be super cool to see if anybody kind of crossed over. But yeah, Thelma is a great guy. If you are into Dream Theater, I do suggest his podcast, and there will be a link in the description below. And yeah, all that's left to say is that I saw Get Out yesterday, which is a great film. Have you guys seen Get Out?
I saw the Red Letter Media breakdown of Get Out, so I've seen Get Out.
Oh shit, really? So you've kind of have you had the full plot ruined for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it might be interesting for you to... Well, basically, I would really like to do Get Out on the podcast, so it might be the case that, Chris, it would be interesting for you to watch the movie through the eyes of having these things talked about beforehand.
Okay.
It's much more of a thriller than an actual out-and-out horror film, but it was quite horrific. I felt several kind of things while watching it. There was, without spoiling it, there was a lot of catharsis, but there was also a lot of violence, and the violence was happening to the people that I wanted the violence to happen to. But I also kind of felt sick watching it. It was kind of like this weird kind of instant revulsion, but also attraction to the fact that these people I hated were going to get it. They were going to get it. But maybe the way they were getting it was kind of like a bit sickening, a bit brutal. There wasn't a lot of cuts. It was more kind of like I'm basically the characters deserved it, but the way they were dispatched was kind of it was not a good way to go. Let's put it that way.
Well, there's nothing quite like in a game, any kind of fiction, when a villainous character, when they get a really satisfying death. There's nothing quite like it, and ultimately there's nothing quite like when they get a really lame death, like a character just shoots them, or they get stabbed and die. So something I think that I was talking to my girlfriend about this, but like Game of Thrones, like the villains in that, all the villains, I can't think of a single villain in that show that doesn't get a really satisfying good death. Whereas, you know, something like, I don't know, like Walking Dead, which I do enjoy, but The Walking Dead, like, some of the deaths in that aren't always so satisfying in terms of villains. And it doesn't help that I end up liking the villains more than the main cast anyway. So
yeah,
like, hey, you're fun, you're interesting. But it does go a long way, I think, especially because I know elements of Get Out, so knowing that the villains get, or the villainous characters, the antagonists get very satisfying death sequences is always good, because again, like, especially in horror,
but it
should be satisfying.
Yeah, and it was satisfying, but at the same time, it was also, it kind of made me feel a little bit sick, and I'm not a kind of like a wilting flower. I do watch a lot of like awful shit, and it kind of, I was surprised at the reaction I was having. Does that make sense? It was like these deaths, the deaths were kind of like real. They felt real, and I think that was the kind of the element that kind of sealed it for me in terms of making me feel a bit sick.
Do you reckon that was intentional as well? That you were supposed to want them to die horribly.
Absolutely.
But then with the way they go, there's that element of humanity going, that's horrible.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I believe it was written, but at the very least, it was directed by a guy called Jordan Peele, who is part of he's a comedian. So I was immediately interested in the idea of the movie based on the fact that it was a horror film but written by a comedian, and I feel like his kind of knowledge of, how comedy works, and how you kind of like there's lots of metatextual things that people expect to happen, and tropes and things like that. He plays with it quite a lot. So he's kind of, I read an interview with him where recently, because the DVD is coming out, they mentioned that there was an alternate ending, and so I was reading about the alternate ending, and they were talking to the director about it, and he said, there's a character in the film who kind of is a mirror for the audience, and so you expect when people are watching these films to go, oh, don't go in there, that's a stupid idea, don't do that, don't do this. That's the kind of the voice of the audience, and he saw that, like putting the voice of the audience into a character kind of really makes the audience kind of feel like, yeah, someone's on our side, they get it,
Yeah.
So he kind of plays with
frustrated.
That. Yeah.
It's like, I remember Ridley Scott saying in Alien, is it Veronica? Veronica Cartwright's character, Lambert, she doesn't scream all the time, but she's always like panicking, and they're discussing, how we're going to get rid of it, and she says, I think we should just take the escape shuttle and just fuck off, and just leave it here. It's like, but there's only one sleep mod. She's like, I don't fucking care, let's just leave. And it's because she's supposed to be the voice of the audience, like, that's a good idea, let's not crawl into the air ducts again, let's just leave it. It can stay here all it wants, and it can just fuck off and die, let's just leave and take our chances.
Well, that's a pretty good thing too, because we are eating daylight here. That's a good point to get us on to Alien Covenant, because that is definitely a movie where there are not people who represent the audience telling them what the audience thinks the characters should do. It's a lot of characters in a very kind of like what's the word? It's basically a slasher film. That's how I feel it is. It's a slasher film.
It's a slasher film that thinks it's greater than that. It thinks it's better. It's a movie that, what's very frustrating is obviously it's the same director of Alien, but obviously that was written by good old Dan O'Bannon and his friend Andrew Shusett, I think it was, but it was written by two other people, so it says it all. It was a movie that wanted to be like Alien, but didn't. But it wanted to be like the really the first 3 Alien films. I mean, Alien 3 gets a lot of flack, deservedly so, but in hindsight, it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, I think it's underappreciated. I'm in the camp that kind of goes, yeah, it's not an awful movie.
No, but I think it was a movie. Alien Covenant is a movie that wants to be like those first 3 films, but doesn't understand them.
Yeah.
And seems to have this bizarre notion that when we were watching Aliens and Alien 3, we were actually instead of being frightened by just this mysterious parasitic life form that's just out there. Instead, what we really wanted to know was what's the meaning of life, who created us, because obviously those were the questions I was asking growing up when I was watching one of my heroes growing up, Michael Biehn, shooting at monsters with a big, enormous gun. Was, why am I here? Why are they doing this? It's visually very pretty, but that's...
I would say that's one of the few things it's got going for it. Is it's got a pretty nice coat of paint on it.
Yeah,
but it is a slasher film. I mean,
and it's also what I like to call an idiot plot. That the only reason that anything happens is because every single character in the entire movie is a fucking moron.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a slasher movie. The thing that had it that pointed out for me was I was watching a review of Alien Covenant after going to see it, and the guy said the first person dies because they go to take a leak on their own, and then another character dies later on in the movie because after they've seen all these fucking horrible aliens that exist on the planet, she decides it's a good idea to go off to the bathroom on her own.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah, so the problem is it's a bad slasher film. It's like, Jason's out there, but I'm just going to go to the toilet on my own because I have no understanding of how, sort of like being chased by a killer or by a deadly alien in this case works.
Exactly.
The bathroom's safe, apparently.
Yeah, even in a Friday the 13th movie, the characters, the people in the camp don't know Jason's out there killing people.
Yeah, so it makes sense, yeah.
It's like, and also the first guy, he steps on the space fungus. That's fine, but it's the fact the second guy goes like, an alien black strange bulbous thing. I'm going to tickle it and then I'm going to inhale. And I go, that was weird.
Yeah.
And then later on, because it's most of the movie's spoiled in the trailer actually. It shows you most of the characters that die in the trailer, and there's the scene with the facehugger finally, which pissed me off more than anything because it doesn't make any sense. But it's because in the trailer I didn't mind it so much because it looked like they just discovered them. In the movie, they have been notified and told that there is a pathogen on the planet that does horrible things to you and makes monsters fly out of your back or your throat. This character knows this and then proceeds to follow another character down into a very creepy chamber with lots of alien eggs and thinks it's a good idea to stick his head in it.
Is that the same captain who basically has to explain to us that his crew doesn't believe in him rather than us actually religious. See that or be explained? Yeah, it's so... Everything in the movie has to be said aloud because otherwise there's no way that you would understand what was supposed to be going on.
He says that and then it's never brought up again.
Yeah, it's just a non-issue. I mean, if you want to imply that, if you want to imply that your crew doesn't believe in you, you would kind of create a situation where that kind of is apparent. So it's a subtext, people pick up on it, as opposed to, distinctly telegraphing everything that you're trying to say. And I mean, nowhere is that more apparent in the huge philosophical discussions that Fassbender seems to have with himself.
Yeah, like when he not only kisses himself in one scene, but then also speaks the lines, I'm going to use them out of context, "Let me do the fingering." I'm going to say completely out of context because that's what he says. He turns around to other Fassbender and says, "Let me do the fingering."
Yep, that is the thing that happened.
And everyone in the cinema just laughed because, did you really just write? And it's played completely straight.
And I think a lot of these elements that we're talking about are, like I said before, they're plot contrivance. It's basically we have decided that this is what the story is and what's going to happen. These are our beats or our events that are going to happen. We have to get from point A to point B. So dumb character does dumb thing because we need it to happen for the script.
And
Sorry, I'm just going to say the gestation period. That is like the most distinct example of plot contrivance I can see in the movie. The gestation period is truly laughable. These people brush up against a spore. It enters their skin within 20 minutes in universe time, probably about 4 minutes in the movie. They become to the point where they're like drastically ill and can't walk. And I mean, aside from the fact that these like trained professional astronauts don't follow basic procedure. Like, I can understand.
Yeah, it's breathable.
Humans can get scared. Humans can fuck up because they're scared. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But like, they completely, every step of the way, they completely destroy any kind of process they might have been trained in to deal with these kinds of things. A face hugger needs to be on someone's face for literally, and I mean in universe time and movie time, 7 seconds. 5 to 7 seconds, and then they get a full-blown alien in their chest. What, like a couple of hours later when they're on the ship?
That
it just
pissed me off.
It's so stupid.
It's like, what's the point? Why does it bother? Wouldn't it be better to just hop on and hop off again? Because then no one's going to be suspicious.
Yeah.
Why knock him out? I mean, why are you doing this? It's and again, I'm just thinking of again the idiot plot where the initial, I think they're called neomorphs, bursts out the guy's back, and then the ship blows up because of it. And I was sat there, and I leaned over to my girlfriend, and I was just like, who put the high explosive canisters next to the gun locker? Why are those? Because I know the person shooting at it, and she's a fucking moron as well, but they all are. And she's shooting it, I know, and then it moves towards it and then shoots them, but where the canisters were is directly where the gun locker was.
Yeah. And
maybe we shouldn't have explosive barrels out in the open near firearms.
If we have an alien on our spaceship and we have lots of contained corridors with lockable doors, maybe we could just kill the alien in one of these corridors, as opposed to lure it into like the space tractor lobby where we're going to try and blow them out of the airlock because that's what they did in the original Alien. Lol.
And also,
yeah, it's just stupid.
And also, like, this is a good idea. We're going to lower our mobility by using magnetic shoes. And then there's my favourite, I think one of my favourite moments, which just summed up the movie, was David. Was fuck spoilers. If you're going to see the movie, don't. If you've seen it, you liked it, well, fuck you. There's that scene where he basically directly quotes Ian Holm in Alien, in the first one, when he says, "It is the blah blah blah. It is the perfect organism." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I remembered that. And then there's the scene when it's chasing. I can't remember her name because she was so forgettable. Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels. Yeah.
And
I spent most of the movie trying to work out where I'd seen her face before, and it was from Fantastic Beasts. So.
Oh, she's in there.
Yeah.
She's got a strange face. And I remember it's the perfect organism. It's chasing it, and then it trips over a plastic safety rail.
That whole section is just so fucking video gamey. It's just impossibly. It's like a really bad power metal music video. It's just we're on a space platform that's flying around. It looks like a final boss from Metal Gear Solid or Zone of the Enders or something.
And the thing is as well is that Alien Isolation, which was a video game, a survival horror game, had more subtlety and respect for the series, and they got it. Because in that, the creature is indestructible. It's just it's so dangerous, and it annoyed me. There's that one moment where the second one gets on and she's walking along with Danny McBride, and they're like, "Let's fucking kill this thing." There's no fear. There's no anxiety. There's no there's no drive. No one's like, oh, where is it? Oh my Jesus fuck. Oh, it's just like, yeah, fucking
completely inhuman. They are not characters. They are just people in suits who are just talking. Yeah, and they're saying the things that people want the movie to be about, rather than what the movie actually is about.
Well, I mean, I'm amazed I can still see, because when Fassbender was talking about Ozymandias and Byron, and then and the other Fassbender corrects David, and he says, "Who wrote Ozymandias?" And David from Prometheus incorrectly believes it was Byron. It was actually Mary Shelley, and my eyes nearly flew out of my brain because I was rolling them so hard.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I get it, because Frankenstein's a monster.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Because there, in that instance, you have a kind of a semi-interesting plot device. You have basically a robot that is going senile or mad or crazy. And that's a really interesting idea, but instead it's about putting a heavy-handed metaphor or callback to something that, you know, you're basically basing your plot on, sort of thematically. It's just so heavy-handed. It's impossible to not roll your eyes.
Yeah, it's impressive, if anything. And then obviously then they have the kung fu fight.
Incidentally, I don't want to insult your intelligence, but I assumed the second that you saw it cut away and then someone was running out, that you thought it's David.
It's David.
Yeah.
It's David.
I mean,
it's David.
I can't believe that they would try to pull that fast one, because they don't show his hands, and I think it's deliberately for a while. The kind of the editing shows that you can't show his hands, because I was looking for his hands because I wanted to prove that it was David. Okay, and then eventually you do get a shot of his hands, and it's been destroyed. So you think, oh, it means that it's, what was his name?
Walter.
Walter, that was it.
Walter.
It must be Walter, because his hand is destroyed, and all the while I'm thinking, yeah, no, it's David. It's clearly David. If it was anyone other than David, if it was actually Walter, we would have seen the culmination of their fight. The fact that we cut away was on purpose.
And what makes it even worse is that as he comes out, he kind of looks back to make sure, and then moves. If you just saw him running, you're like, oh, it's Walter.
Yeah.
And the characters are idiots, because it was established that Walter can heal himself. Like, he heals the wound in his neck, doesn't it, when he stabs him? Mm-hmm. So you would imply, you would assume that the crew would know, but then again, we have established that the members of this crew are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You know, there's a character having a shower, two characters having sex in the shower, and it's the fact that the bloke looks down, sees the xenomorph tail behind between his legs, and just thinks, I'm going to stand here, this is a good idea, oh dear, I'm dead.
Well, dude, sex in the shower, you know, it's a fun time. If you're if you're sat there and you're thinking, well, I'm about to die, you know, I guess it's not the worst place.
There's no urgency, and I can't really remember any of the characters' names at all. I remember Danny McBride's character, because they called him Tennessee and they called him T.
Yes, I remember that.
I don't remember the captain's name. I had to look it up. I barely remember Daniel's name. I remember Walter because he's in the movie a lot,
and they say his name a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael Fassbender's hilarious, awful American accent. And also, speaking of Michael Fassbender and hilarious, because I like Michael Fassbender, but could they not get a better wig?
Yeah. And the problem as well is that I think he bulked out a bit, like muscly, since the last movie. I think he has. So it was kind of, when they were showing the prequel shot where it was clearly before Prometheus took place, where he was talking with
with Wayland.
Yeah. I was sat there thinking the whole time, but he's jacked. This dude is like so muscly. It's not David from Prometheus.
Also, when I create, if I'm Peter Wayland and I create AI and I create an android, and he turns around to me and says, "But I'll live forever and you'll die," I go, "That's a good point, David. Shut him down. Shut him down. Shut him down."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'll live forever. Can you shut him down, please?" He's freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, "No, this is good. This is good. I'm gonna go and get my terrible old man makeup and put my mantis suit on. Oh, I'm dead."
Yeah, I think to sum up, movie. I think if you take any element of the plot on its own and question it, it will fall apart, and by proxy, then everything else falls apart. Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing because I didn't go and see Prometheus when it came out. I must have been busy at the time, or I just, I wasn't. There was clearly hype about the fact that it was Ridley Scott returning to the Alien franchise. Yeah. Maybe not perhaps in name, but definitely in terms of plot canon.
And it's in the universe, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then obviously I've seen it since, and I saw before I saw the movie, I saw the huge reaction to it online, and people saying this is the worst thing ever. So When I saw that there was a new one coming out, it was called Alien Covenant, so it had Alien in it, and all this, I thought, okay, I'll go watch Prometheus. I watched Prometheus. I don't think Prometheus was as bad as I was expecting, but maybe that's just because I saw such a huge outcry of
there's
instant backlash to it.
A lot of us got unfortunately, I did as well. Like, just got caught up in the hype train. The marketing for Prometheus. I mean, you can't blame it on the director for that, but the marketing made it look like it was heavily tied in with the original film. And also, like, looking back at it, at least it didn't have the nerve to call itself Alien Prometheus. Because in Covenant, it takes a long time for the xenomorph to come on screen. And I know it does in the original movie, but that's because it's the first movie. You've seen it. You can't. That's what Aliens did so well. Is despite, obviously, it takes a while for the xenomorphs to turn up in that, but to get around basically treating you like an idiot, and not retreading steps. Instead, they have them moving around the colony complex, and like you just see like the aftermath of all this fighting, and that so that keeps you and you're like, oh, this is cool because I'm seeing new things, and then you get the big fight, and then it all kicks off and everyone dies. Instead, this was, oh no, because we have to be slow because Alien was slow. No, but it's fine. Alien was slow because it was the first one, and it was building up the intrigue. We know about the creature now, so just get on with it, and show us some new shit.
Yeah, but I don't think I've heard some people say that if this movie was just called Covenant and not Alien Covenant, that it would be better. But I honestly think the movie is so bad that it wouldn't be. I mean, it was very pretty to watch, and I liked some of the world building. I liked some of the technology and the suits and things like that. But yeah, whoever wrote the script, it was just bad. Yeah,
and it's the thing. I've read one review that summed it up, and they just said because of the revelation about how the xenomorphs were made, it just makes the title of the movie incredibly laughable. That it has the nerve to call itself Alien, because they're not alien anymore. They were made in like a backyard.
Exactly. They've been interacting with humanity, or robots, built by humanity for what is it? 50, 100 years before the events of this film, or whatever it is. So
I think Prometheus is, and again, this is another reason why to me it doesn't make any sense. Prometheus was set 50 years, I think, before Alien, and this is set 10 years after Prometheus, because when they find the tags of Elizabeth Shaw, who they just fucking kill off screen, obviously. Yeah. Why wouldn't you kill your main protagonist from the first movie off screen? In between movies. And they say, oh, there's the Prometheus that went missing 10 years ago, which I always thought was kind of silly anyway, because it sounded to me the Prometheus mission was a super secret thing.
It was very much a kind of like a personal project, wasn't it? Yeah. And the problem I've got with that, and people have tried to argue this with me, and I just refuse to listen because it's making sense. Like, I'm like, how did the eggs get on LV-426? How did the engineer? Why is there a crashed engineer ship on LV-426? Why is there a crashed ship there? I know it's got a stress beacon that's 10 people not to come as a warning. Why has it got an entire cargo of those? And that's fine, but why is it fossilized? Yeah,
it's fossilized. It's like, this looks fossilized.
It's one of those things where, in trying to explain something, while telling this new story of creation and man-made stuff, that you destroy not only the mystery, but you actually destroy the answer for the mystery, because it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, because someone was trying to argue, oh well, obviously David put them on there. I'm like, yeah, but hasn't he killed them, all the engineers, because they all gathered outside for one lone ship to come back for some fucking reason.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but he's killed them all. Like, what is he gonna go and improve it? Like, he's got to do it pretty fucking quick.
Well,
because
it made me laugh. It made me laugh because the conclusion that I came to is that if the xenomorph is supposed to be the perfect life form, then by the time we get round to the original Alien, it's actually a bit shit compared to how it is now. Like it's been nerfed or something.
Yeah, it's like, what they should have. I mean, if only someone had told. Because I remember there's that scene when it bursts out of Kane, in Alien, and Parker, I think he picks up a fork, which is one of my favourites. He's like, I need something, and he picks up a fork.
Yeah, that's so human.
And Ash stops him, but obviously we don't know. We know now why Ash stops him, because he was told by the company to bring it back.
Yeah.
But if only someone had just told Parker, if he held up his other arm as well, it would imprint on him.
Yeah, he could do a little dance, and he'd be fine.
Like, oh, yeah, it'd imprint on him, and then it's okay. If only someone had told them that, then maybe all the characters wouldn't have died, and and then they'd all lived happily ever after, and they could have trained it. If only someone told the colonists that, or every time in the expanded universe when Wayne and Yutani have tried to use it as a bioweapon, if only told them, just hold your hands up when it pops out,
well,
and it's fine.
Not even that. While they're trying to recreate it in a lab, you can just say, look, David's apparently operating under some kind of orders. He's amassed years of biological research. Why the hell aren't you checking the old hard drives for that shit?
So just let him do the finger and it's fine.
Yeah, he's probably still around, as a forced plot contrivance. So, just
favorite line.
Consult with him.
Favorite line in the movie.
Oh boy.
Favorite line in the movie.
Yeah.
Let me do the fingering. Favorite line. Michael Fassbender. What in what other movie? Actually, no. I'll say give the film credit to some extent. In what film can you not only see Michael Fassbender kiss himself, but also say to himself, "Let me do the fingering"? Completely out of context. What other movie is there where you can have Michael Fassbender interact with himself in that way?
I want to make some kind of pun based around Assassin's Creed, like assassins, but no.
It's not worth it. This movie doesn't deserve it. It's a piece of shit.
We need Chris to save us. Save us, Chris, with your segues.
What?
Excellent. Dead Rising 1. Here we go.
Nah, dude.
Oh shit! I gotta go to work.
It's been a lot of Alien Covenant talk, and I haven't even seen Alien, and you're not making me want to see Alien anymore by all this Alien Covenant talk. So this is
trust me. The reason why we're so tough on Covenant is because Alien really does deserve all the accolades that it gets.
Yeah, those first two movies are brilliant, and they still hold up remarkably well as well.
They do.
Remarkably well. It saddens me. Makes me sad. But yeah,
but
the rage has subsided.
Much like the plot elements that we didn't want explained from Alien have been rising. Let's I'm stuck here, Chris. I need help.
I blew my load an hour ago.
Let's see.
And then I made a pun.
I can't think of anything. My brain has turned to mush. Something about
brains, mushy brains.
Mush brains.
I've got it. Let's head west.
That doesn't mean anything.
I know. I don't care.
That doesn't mean anything, to be frank.
Oh.
See, I knew there was a reason you called the king of segues.
I was asleep for the last 30 minutes. It's like, oh yeah, stupid alien movie. Yeah, everyone dies, really? They're doing stupid stuff because of aliens? Yeah, I know. That's what happens in these movies. That's why I don't watch them. But I guess one day I could be forced to watch them. One of them at least.
That should happen.
Yes.
At least the first two. I mean, if nothing else.
I would be interested in seeing the second one at least, because I know there's Space Marines and guns and stuff, and that'll be fun action stuff to watch.
All of that expanded universe stuff that you may have come into contact with, like video games and stuff, all that sort of comes from those first two movies. So
yeah.
Oh, I'm sure some StarCraft was inspired in part by Alien 2 and Alien 1. So.
I'm sure they. I'm sure Blizzard said that they were inspired by aliens at some point. I'm sure of it.
Well, actually, I mean, Warhammer inspired a lot of StarCraft as well. Warhammer 20K, I think. It was originally going to be a Warhammer game before Blizzard realized that they're really shit at making, what do they call those games where you make it for a brand? Licensed titles. Yeah, so they decided to just, break away from that and make their own thing, which has been great so far. It's been like 20 years of success. So good on them. Good on them. I really don't have a pun for Dead Rising anymore. I'm sorry. I don't have a segue for it.
I just used up Frank West. I just used up Rising.
Yeah.
We used up Brains.
Yeah.
Guess what, everybody? Dead Rising 1. It exists.
Yeah.
It's the game.
We played it back in the day.
Also, kudos to anyone who's been hanging out with us so far in anticipation of this. You are legendary in your patience.
Yeah, and all that remains to be said is tune in for part 2.
Yeah. Close the curtain, boys. We're done today.
I think I think we will stop there. Actually, we will make part 2 just the whole Dead Rising thing.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madcus Finch, and Garlips. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.